All right, welcome listeners. So today's mission is pretty ambitious. We are taking a huge stack of source material. We've got philosophy, elite athletic training, business strategy, even theology. And we're trying to boil it all down to one really critical question.
And that question is, how do we actually achieve mastery? And maybe more importantly, how do we find the opportunities that are already out there just waiting for us?
Exactly. How do we find them?
And we found the guiding metaphor for this whole deep dive in a really simple Spanish proverb, pero que no camina no encuentra hueso.
A dog that doesn't walk won't find a bone.
That's it. So we're going beyond just, being busy. We're exploring the discipline, the vision, and this is key, the quality of motion you need to find what's waiting.
Okay, let's unpack that. The bone, the opportunity. It's already out there. It exists. Our job isn't to just sit and wait for it.
Right. It's active. We have to walk.
So our focus today really breaks down into three parts. First, just the commitment to moving it all. Second, making sure that movement is high quality, not slop. And third, what tools we need to keep walking when we feel like we've hit a wall.
And that's the foundation, really. The world and all its opportunities, they only reveal themselves when you're in motion. If you're not walking, you're just not in the area where the bone could possibly be.
It sounds so simple when you put it like that. Just walk. But the insight here is that you can't wish your way to it. Over-planning doesn't make the bone appear. You have to move.
And that leads to the first major challenge, which is telling the difference between real movement and just busyness.
Oh, that's a big one.
It's a critical separation. I think a lot of us confuse being busy, frantically answering emails or just thrashing around with actual progress.
By running in place.
Exactly. The sources are clear. True movement has to be purposeful. Busyness, a lot of the time, is just a way to avoid the real focused work.
That connects so well to how we think about opportunity. It reminds me of that famous line from Thomas Edison that was in our sources.
Oh, yeah.
He said something like, opportunity is missed by most people because it's dressed in overalls and looks like hard work.
It's the perfect analogy. Edison is telling us the bone is probably hidden by something that looks like drudgery or, boring paperwork. If you're just sitting still, waiting for some glamorous, easy win,
You're going to miss it.
you're guaranteed to miss the real ones, the overalls. That's the uniform of the dog that's actually walking with purpose.
So what does that look like today? I mean, the hard work isn't always physical labor. It could be cleaning up a messy data set
Right.
or writing documentation that nobody might read for months.
Precisely. It's the simple, purposeful stuff that builds skill and puts you in the game. And that takes a real commitment to just get started, to overcome inertia.
Which brings us to a little piece of Latin that kind of serves as the starting gun.
Fac si facis.
Do it if you're going to do it.
Simple as that.
But, movement alone can't be enough. You can walk for miles in the completely wrong direction. Or you could walk with terrible posture and just burn yourself out in 5 minutes.
And that brings us to the second big idea, the quality of the walk.
Yes. This is where we shift from philosophy to elite training, and this part I found fascinating. We're looking at the work of swimming coach Terry Laughlin.
His core principle is so powerful. He just said, trust the aesthetic eye.
What looks good is good. And the flip side, what looks like slop is slop.
That's the unforgiving rule of form. Laughlin he was absolute about this. Conditioning comes after form. He'd say stop the set if your form breaks down.
Stop the set.
Yeah, because real success, real sustainability, it's all built on superior form, not just brute force.
Okay, I have to push back here a little bit. That feels counterintuitive, especially in business where it's all about hustle and volume. Don't you need to build up the endurance first and then worry about perfecting the form later?
It's a fair challenge. It really is. But the sources would argue that's a false choice. You can practice the wrong thing for 10,000 hours, and all you've done is ingrain bad habits.
You've just gotten really good at being sloppy.
You got it. Laughlin's whole point was that conditioning. It happens to you while you're focused on building and refining perfect skills. The dog that walks with purpose moves with economy. It practices a perfect step, knowing the strength will come as a result of the skill.
So quality first becomes the path to better quantity later on.
Precisely. And this focus on quality is what a lot of coaches call meta-learning, learning how to learn.
Finding the most efficient way to get good at something.
Right. You focus on the fundamentals, you avoid practicing your errors, and this is key. You only practice for as long as it still feels fruitful.
I love that idea. Only as long as it's fruitful. And we can take that from physical form to mental focus with another source, the writer John Jerome.
His advice on stretching.
Yeah. He says you should only hold a stretch for as long as it holds your attention. The second your mind starts to wander, stretch something else.
I think we've all been there. You're holding a stretch, and suddenly you're making a grocery list in your head.
Happens to me all the time. I'm stretching my hamstrings and suddenly remember I need to buy milk.
Right. And Jerome's point is that the genuine concentration, that focus on relaxation, does just as much good as the physical stretch itself. Relaxation isn't passive, it's a focused effort. When your mind wanders, your form has broken down. You're entering slop territory.
Okay, so quality movement is about attention. It's not just output. But now we have a dog. It's walking with perfect form. It's totally present. How does it know where to go? How does it even believe a bone is out there to be found?
That takes us to our third area, the power of vision. Seeing before you do.
And for this, we go back to Coach Tony Dungy and his concept of the look squad in football.
Yeah, this is so practical. The Look Squad was basically the backup players. Their job in practice was to perfectly simulate the other team's plays.
So the first team could see what success looked like before they ever stepped on the field for the game.
Exactly. It makes visualization a practical tool, not some, mystical chant. It normalizes the feeling of success because if you can't even picture yourself succeeding as a leader, as a parent, whatever, you won't have the confidence to perform when it matters.
And Dungy takes this idea of the look squad even further.
Right.
He connects it to a spiritual context.
He does. He references the vision in the book of Revelation of a new heaven and new earth. For him, that ultimate vision of the future, this perfected outcome, acts as a sort of spiritual look squad for life.
It gives you courage for today because you've already seen the final successful outcome.
Exactly. It lets the dog walk with a deep sense of purpose, not panic. It knows what's waiting at the end of the walk.
The goal then, whether it's for a football game or for life, is to calm down your present anxiety by knowing the outcome is, well, attainable. And this brings us back to clarity. Peter Rolston, a martial arts expert, he said our skillfulness in anything depends entirely on how clearly we can perceive what's actually happening.
Which is a perfect lead-in to the management philosopher Peter Drucker, because he asks, how do we apply this in a practical business sense?
Right. He famously advised against wasting time trying to forecast the future.
Don't try to predict what's happening in 20 years. He said the real work is in identifying the future that has already happened.
I love that phrase, the future that has already happened, the changes that are already here but maybe not fully recognized.
That's it. The biggest opportunities are in the shifts, demographics, values, technology that have already occurred. The key isn't to invent a future, it's to exploit the new reality that's already emerged.
Can you give us a concrete example of that?
Sure. Think about the smartphone about 15 years ago. The shift to mobile-first computing had already happened with the first iPhones. The future had arrived. The opportunity wasn't in predicting if mobile would be big, it was in exploiting the reality that it already was by building apps and services for it.
The bone wasn't in some distant field. It was right there, under your nose, probably dressed in some overalls.
And waiting for someone with Ralston's clear perception to see it.
So that gives you a clear action item. Stop trying to predict, start noticing what are the major shifts in your own environment that have already appeared.
But this kind of walking, purposeful, high-quality, perceptive walking, it's exhausting. You can't just go, go, go.
You'll burn out. To sustain the movement, you need rhythm. And that brings us back to John Jerome.
His rules on training rhythm are just critical here. He stressed that, yeah, you need hard days that stress the system, but the recovery time is just as important.
We tend to treat recovery as optional, like a luxury.
It's non-negotiable. Easy days have to follow hard days. And they aren't lazy days. They're for maintenance, for learning, for practicing details slowly. The dog can't sprint every single day. It has to rest and integrate.
But sometimes even with rhythm, the walk just gets brutally hard. The scent goes cold, you're tired. What happens when you reach the end of your rope?
For that, we turn to Thomas Jefferson, of all people, and his advice is so simple.
He said, when you reach the end of your rope, tie a knot in it and hang on.
That's it. It's not about a new burst of frantic energy. It's about sustaining your position. It's about not giving up the ground you've gained. It's the resilience of just holding on.
And to do that, you need to be in the present moment. I'm thinking of Anne Lamott, who reminds us that nothing that's ever happened to you is as powerful as right now. The power to hang on only exists in the present.
And Muhammad Ali had that great line about focus. What you are thinking about, you are becoming. The dog has to think about walking, not about how impossible it seems.
It also means letting go of past failures. Marcus Aurelius has a brilliant take on this. He says the best revenge is to be unlike the one who did you wrong. Don't waste energy on revenge. Use it for virtue and logic right now.
That energy is fuel for the walk. Which brings us to the final piece of the puzzle. It's a concept that helps us build principles that work no matter what. It comes from the political philosopher John Rawls.
His veil of ignorance. This is a pretty deep concept. How does social justice philosophy help a dog find a bone?
Because it's all about building high-quality, universal principles. Rawls said the fairest rules are the ones everyone would agree to if they didn't know their own position in society, their power, their wealth, their advantages.
You make the rules fair for the person at the bottom, because that person could be you.
Precisely. Now, apply that to mastery. The dog walks without knowing if today's path will be easy or treacherous. It's operating behind a veil of ignorance about the future.
So that forces it to develop skills and principles that work in all circumstances, not just the easy ones.
Yes. You prioritize Laughlin's superior form because you might need it when you're weak, not just when you're strong. You build in Jerome's habits of rest because you know there will be a day you'll desperately need it. You commit to purposeful movement because you know opportunity demands consistency no matter how you feel today.
That really ties it all together. The path forward is about 1, a dedication to movement, 2, a relentless focus on quality over slop, and 3, using vision, both the immediate prep of the look squad and a long-term sense of purpose to keep you going.
The bone is out there. Drucker's opportunities have already happened. All we control is the quality of our walk and the consistency of our practice. And maybe the reward isn't just finding the bone, it's becoming the kind of creature that's worthy of what it finds.
The creature of form, rhythm, and resilience. So, the provocative thought for you to take away today is this. If you applied John Rawls' veil of ignorance to your own skills, to your own habits, knowing you could lose all your current advantages tomorrow, what essential changes would you make to your daily walk right now to guarantee you could succeed no matter what?
Which dog are you today?